constructed these Rune instruments, all string instruments. These are lyres. Here you can see a violin, a harp. I make cellos and I make guitars as well. This is a bit the archetypes which you see here of the 12 constellations of the zodiac, after which they all have been made. At first in lyres, and then I make them in bigger lyres, I make them in violins and in guitars. I would like to take you on a trip through my instruments. But first I like to tell you what preceded the development of the instruments. Around my 30th year, I suddenly was taken out of my body with my soul and consciousness and into a cloud. Here I experienced a supertonal sea of sounds. That was completely unexpected and very intense. But I felt it was fully true what I experienced there, only I felt lost in it. Now, after years of research, I know this is called the harmony of the spheres, stemming from the movements of the planets around the Earth through the zodiac that send to us their sound forces, even though this still only is heard by few people. I started to elaborate musical methods in measure, rhythm and sounds to be able to return to this vast musical sphere now in a dosed manner. And from this arose the sound horoscope methods, for I developed gradually how you can relate to this in a birth horoscope. I started to write books about this, some of which have been translated in English, and as well compose music and music theater to be able to experience this inner music. And with this, I missed certain sounds and harmonies when playing the accompaniment on my guitar. I started constructing harps and played on them, as you can hear here. This predominantly gave celestial music, beautiful in itself, but still too little grounded for what I was looking for, namely to connect the music with the earth and our body. I also missed specific sound spaces like I heard in my cloud experience. And at first I made sound sculptures for the vowel sound spaces. And as a result, I constructed a vowel violoncello and a vowel lyre. With these, I could well trace and experience the planet workings until in the inner organs. See here this path. Still I missed further refinements of the sound spaces as we have in our speech with the consonant sounds, of which I knew from eurythmy they came from the zodiacal signs, and thus I started to make my string instruments after the forms of the constellations of the zodiac. For from different esoterical directions like astrology, I know that these have formed us in the body, from the head, Aries, until the hands and feet, Pisces. Each zodiacal constellation has a specific shape, and these I started to apply in the lyres. I take you along all through the different zodiacal images and the instruments that have been formed after these. Aries lyre. It has the shape of the horn like the constellation of Aries. Here is the horn, here's the backside. Here you see the bridge, it's bringing over the vibrations of the strings to a very narrow space behind which walks out like a horn. I will let you hear. Taurus lyre made of birch wood. It has a quite loose back plate. There's a bridge inside here which delays the vibrations from the front side. A bit like the constellation of Taurus at the sky. This gives vibration slower here, which makes it make the word sound L. I'll let you hear. Here is the Gemini lyre made of elm wood. You see both the blades are like parallel against each other, producing the word sound. It has the shape of the constellation. Lyre of Cancer. It has two blades with boxes. It's one little box inside. It's constructed like our chest, which is a kind of box as well. That's where cancer stands for. That's what cancer produces within us. Cherry wood. Sound. Leo lyre made of ash wood. The star constellation of Leo is like a Leo head with his big hairs and head at the backside. You probably know it. You can see in the inside here is this same shape, inside, outside. It's the working of our heart. The blood gathers in the heart, it's tested with the conscience, and then it's sent again out through all the veins and through all the tissues of the body. And the Leo has the sound, the word sound T. Tasontwikkeling. Virgo lyre made of elm wood. You can see, if you look at this side, from the other side, it's like a tube, just like the shape of the constellation of Virgo. It has to do with our intests. Word sound B. Libra lyre, made of birch wood. Two very thin blades connected through a triple bridge, which is very thin as well. The word sound it produces is zzz. I'll let you hear. Scorpion lyre, made of oak wood. What you see here is that there is a sound box which is narrowing down and silencing the sound, but here the upper tones stand up, so you come into a completely different region. If you look at the star constellation, it has the shape of a kind of funnel, like in the bath, and then it rises up again. Word sound S. Sagittarius lyre, made of maple. What you see inside here is a kind of square which sends out the sounds outwards. It's like in the constellation of Sagittarius, there's a clear square of stars, and there's all kind of lines going all directions. Star lines. And there are star lines going out in all directions. It has to do with growth, and actually growth of the muscles by moving here. Word sound G or K. Capricorn lyre, made of beech wood. What you will see, the front and the back blade are glued here in the middle, walking out in both directions. The constellation of Capricorn has a strong center with two lines walking out or walking in, if you want. It has to do with our joints, and especially with our knees, which are force centers. In this way, this lyre of Capricorn has been constructed. So free ends of both the back blades. Word sounds L because it resounds all through space. I'll let you hear. Aquarius lyre, beechwood. What you see, the inside shape is like a double lemniscate, or the sign of infinity, if you like. Just like the constellation has its shape. It has to do with the word sound mmm. Pisces lyre, made of maple. Pisces, or the fishes, a watery sign. The constellation shows two boxes that go into a center circle in, like is happening in our ears. It has to do with our feet and our hands. There where the extremities are, where we grow on into the world. The word sound is n, or better n, there where it becomes etheric, the sounds. I'll let you hear. The sounding boards and resonation blades of the rune instruments at first are being cut out by hand, and after this polished with simple grinding devices. We work with the 7 domestic wood types that best represent the planetary forces, being cherry, elm, birch, ash, oak, maple and beechwood. The trees have been cut with ecological care. Our instruments are finished with line oil, which protects them well and makes resound the wood quality at best. It also gives the wood a deeper hue and it intensified the wood grains. We varnish the instruments on request. The Rune instruments have been developed and fine-tuned in 35 years, most often in dialogue with the customer. We now find the time ripe to produce these instruments on a larger scale. That is why now we want to raise money through crowdfunding to be able to educate constructors, install a well-equipped workshop, start up a production line for each one of the 12 types of instruments, and intensify the selling channels. As starting cost for a workshop of Rune instruments, we estimated the following. For acquiring a good workroom, devices and tools, about 300,000 euros. For the education of 3 constructors and the first half year with instruction and supervision, 100,000 euros. and for the second half year 150,000, but they already produce then, wherewith an amount of lyres can be made. And then we come to an estimated amount of about 400,000 euros as starting costs for the first year, with that there is already made a stock of about 350,000 euros. We estimate to produce 264 lyres a year, and together with the material costs, labor and transport costs, administration, PR, and the redemption of the mortgage in 20 years, the writing off for devices, we estimate a year's amount of 324,000 euros. Divided by the 264 lyres, we come to the cost for a lyre of about 1200 euros. And considering to sell a lyre with box for about 1900 euros, there is a profit per lyre of about 672 euros. This is quite a broad margin which helps us to grow. As starting costs we do need 400,000 euros, and in US dollars you augment all the amounts with about 10%. If you find our work of these instruments that are attuned to the cosmos important, and you would like to support us, we would be delighted. You can donate or as well give us a loan with longer terms through our Fyodor Foundation, which supports our activities. Please contact one of our co-workers. You then will also can order a lyre of your own choice for a reduced price. And you will read more about our instruments on our English website runeworks.com at the page Rune Instruments. On this site you will find more of our products. Thank you for listening and welcome to our site.